Welcome, everyone, back to Aeos Clubhouse. This is episode 24 for January 5th of 2022. I'm Kyle Ferguson. I am your host, and I'm joined by other hosts as well. Welcome back, Kiyeberries. How you doing?
Oh, thank you. I am doing swell. Fantastic. Fabulous. How are you, lads?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be back here.
Welcome back.
Just 2022. I had to miss a whole week because we didn't do a show last time.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get back at it.
Yeah, holidays and all that sort of thing. The holiday event in game signified as much. And, well, we've got some news today. Not a lot, which, thank goodness, because this game is moving a mile a minute. And it was nice to not see some balance for a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, there are things that need fixed. I had a very relaxing time. I enjoyed my citying, my shivering. I'm pretty sure Tsareena's OP, but that's a short end of my experience. How was y'all's time in Unite?
I played last night a whole bunch, and all of my games, well, not all, but let's just, the 99% of my games were really, really good.
Nice.
Good for you. I actually, dude. No.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
So last night I stayed up late playing League of Legends, and I never want to go back. No, I was like, I'm going to try ranked for the first time. And I went 0-5 for my first 5 ranked league games. So,
oh my goodness.
What's that?
Isn't that like 4.5 hours of losing?
So this is the first podcast episode of 2022. I'm excited to be back. Yeah, I'm waking up here. I was staying up late, like gotta get a win, and then didn't happen. So now I'm here, puffy eyed, like this is BS, you know. Just, but no. As far as Unite goes, I've been doing basically the same thing that I was doing before. You mentioned some characters probably need balancing. I've been abusing the character that I think definitely needs balancing out of the roster, which is Pikachu.
Okay.
All right. That ult is up unreasonably quickly, and you just get to absolutely abuse people with how strong that character is right now. So I've been all over that. And when I'm actually playing Unite, Pikachu has been very, very good to me.
So it's adjacent, you know. Everyone likes to put up their walls and be all tribal about it and be like, well, you know, we can't MOBAs and they all hate each other. What made you play League?
It's just like it was that MOBA that got me into MOBAs.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So you were going back.
Yeah.
You were going back. You were turning home.
Yeah. I've always been kind of all over the place with MOBAs. I got like 1,000 hours in Dota 2. I've probably played about 1,000 games of League of Legends, so not quite 1,000 hours. I've got like 10,000 games of Heroes of the Storm, and, you know, of course we're here for Unite, so I've very much always been a sort of mixed bag around the place. I think it gives you a lot of perspective about the scene, some knowledge transfers over, and I just like MOBAs, you know what I mean? Especially because it's like the only game genre I'm good at, you know? Like it's so frustrating going from playing Heroes of the Storm or Unite or even League with my friends and like just destroying everybody, knowing what to do, knowing how to position, got the mechanics, and then you take me into an FPS and I might as well be shooting paper mache bullets. All right? So when you're only good at one genre, when you're only good at that one genre, you try to take advantage of what you can. So that's kind of the logic there. You know, I tried Halo Infinite when that came out. Oh, can't do it. No idea what I'm doing. So no, I'm a MOBA man.
The worst part about the release of Overwatch is that it is a MOBA in the wrong camera. And otherwise I'd be great at it. I'm very, very, very much in agreement. And plus, you know, horrible motion sickness, which is, you know, bad luck.
Oh yeah.
Kiyeberries,
I mean, it's what's up?
Ah.
We did like our Pokemon roster history. What's your MOBA history?
Yeah, I also started playing League of Legends, but once HOTS came out, I have never been back. Not one time. I didn't dislike League at the end. It's just I preferred Heroes so much, and I've never really felt compelled to play League again. I think if I did want to play League again, I would probably play Wild Rift rather than League.
Yeah.
The mobile version of League, Wild Rift, just because the game is a little bit different and it's been like sped up a little bit and almost like, I don't want to say heroesified, but it is a more heroesified version of League, kind of like in a space in between the two. So if I was having a League itch, I think I would lean more Wild Rifty. But yeah, I started in League as well.
Nice.
I've never played Dota though.
It's good.
Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah.
You know, everybody always has to justify their choice of their specific thing within a certain genre by saying that everything else within that genre is garbage, right? If you play Halo, Call of Duty must be trash. And if you play League of Legends, then Heroes of the Storm must be trash, and all this and that. And it's just, it's so petty to me. You know what I mean? There's all these different things that you can appreciate about each one. That you know, you're just locking yourself off of enjoyment if you're like, no, my game of choice is the correct choice. There's a lot of enjoyment to be had.
Yeah, Dota is like Calvin Ball. If you ever read Calvin and Hobbes, you're playing a game and there is a ball, but there's also like 20 other mini games going on around it, and you have to micromanage. You know, Spock playing 3D chess in Star Trek, but it's like StarCraft. You know, it feels too old for modern sensibilities. Perhaps, I'm not quite sure, but getting on back to the Pokemon Unite, Kiyeberries, you did a big old stream and you said all your games were well, maybe not all of them, too bold of a statement, but fabulous.
There's one that sticks out in my mind that I'm salty about, but if it's only one game out of a whole night of games that you remember as being not good, then I feel like that was a pretty good night. I had a 5-game win streak, which was really cool. And then Omega Molecule, one of our viewers, showed up and jinxed me, pointing out that it was a 5-game win streak, and I immediately proceeded to lose. Thank you for that, Molecule. Appreciate that.
Curse is real.
Yeah, I wasn't acknowledging it. I could see it there because, you know, when you're queued up, it tells you that you're on your win streak and you're getting bonuses and stuff. And I just like, don't look at it. Don't talk about it. The Molecule just busts into the chat like a wrecking ball. Look at that 5-game win streak. Immediately lose.
It was cursed from the moment the words left their lips.
Yeah, I said it too. I'm like, how could you say that? I was like, you can't say that. You can't do that. And then yeah, it's terrible. But overall, like, it's a positive win rate for the whole night, and I had a bunch of really, really good games.
Nice.
This actually, I think, was that game. The first loss. I think this was it.
Shown on screen for our live audience right now.
Yeah,
the one losing game is
as
the
usual,
one pick.
my perfect selection.
And you know what? It leads me into you said about characters, Pokemon needing balance. My lane buddy in this game, the one I lose, is Dragonite. And I maintain that I think Dragonite is underpowered. I know I don't like the character as a character, but as a player who would like things to be balanced, I think he needs a buff. I think he's not very good. I still have yet to see one in a game that felt impactful on either team. I've played against plenty of them, and they're still just kind of there. Like, I never have a moment where I'm like, oh, that Dragonite sure got me, or like, he's popping off. Like, he's just there. And like this one who was my lane buddy, bottom path, I don't feel like he played badly. I feel like he's playing fine, but we're just constantly getting rolled over. Like, we could not compete. I just feel like his character is too weak.
I think the problem is evident in what you're saying here, and that you had a lane Dragonite. And I noticed that whenever I look at these high-level players on Twitch, what I consistently see is that Dragonite is used as a jungler.
Now, that's true. I haven't actually played with anyone who has jungled him. He's almost exclusively bottom path on either side. Again, enemy or my team, he's almost always bottom path. And maybe that's the problem. Is everybody's just playing him wrong? I don't want to like feel like I'm ragging on this person who's on the screen. I feel like they played just fine. I feel like it's that the tools that they had to use were not sufficient, and maybe that's it. Everybody is playing him in the wrong path. I don't know.
he has gotten, in my experience, people can aim now. So he's better with time. I don't really have a good feel on what the power level is. Though I fought a team last night that was honestly all arounders, and it destroyed. It was Charizard, Dragonite, Lucario, Tsareena, and the fifth I completely forget because it didn't match my the thought I was having. But I was surrounded by all arounders, and it felt awful. Like it was so imposing. There was nothing we could do to break out. Everyone had so much health and so much damage. There was no weak point really to exploit. And it was absolutely terrifying.
I also had a game that had 3 tanks and a bruiser. It was Blastoise, Mamoswine, I think it was Greedent, and then Tsareena. And I also can't remember who the 5th was because it doesn't matter. But it was really fun. I was the Mamoswine in that sandwich, and it was a good time.
This does make me wonder who is the most forgettable Pokemon and if we're picking the same time. I think it's Talonflame, actually. I think Talonflame was the other one, which might actually be the most forgettable Pokemon.
Talonflame is not forgettable. I have this Talonflame can steal any objective ever, in my opinion. He is just the best at stealing things, like stealing Zapdos, stealing Dreadnought, because he can float above, completely untouchable, unCCable, unanythingable, and then drop down and get that last hit really easily. And it's just I see you see it happening. It's like images seconds before disaster, you know? Like you see Zapdos or Articuno getting lower and getting lower, and then Talonflame's up there circling in the sky, and you know what he's gonna do, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you're just watching helpless pain in your eyes.
Well, this begs the question then, who's the bottom of the barrel right now? Like if we've got arguments for each and every one, is there an agreeable Pokemon in this roster that we say, nah, you simply don't exist?
I'm going to maintain that at least play-wise, it's Dragonite, because in my experiences, he's just there. He's not doing anything important or impactful or flashy. I've never had a single game where the Dragonite does something and I'm like, oh man, that Dragonite just popped off. Wow, like it's never happened.
Mochrie?
Sorry about that. I have some people over at the house that are painting some walls right now, and they had to come into the room to just talk for a second. So
No worries.
I missed everything from the past minute or so, but we're chilling.
Who is the bottom of the barrel most forgettable Pokemon? Completely ignore them in the game. Doesn't exist in your mind.
Bottom of the barrel, completely most ignorable Pokemon. Can I cheat and say like an individual stage of a Pokemon, because it would definitely be like Ralts or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's fair though.
If I had to choose an entire character though, it's hard because at certain times like it felt easier to say certain characters, but the balance has been shifted so much. Like old Slowbro wasn't nearly as much of a problem as he is now. I gotta say, a not ulting Charizard is one of the less scary things in the game. I've got the roster pulled up in front of me right here, and I'm like, even these weaker characters, they bring some impact to the scene. You gotta respect them a bit. But no, like a non-ulting Charizard, generally not a big threat. So that's what I have to say.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. Because it's true. He is very imposing and flying around and in your business, and then he seems to maybe it's the proper play style, but seems to disappear for a while. So the Dragonites I've fought that feel like they're just destroying are doing Hyper Beam, but I'm also the lowest league of us all here, so I don't know if I'm failing to play correctly or if this isn't correct and I'm being caught off guard.
I've also definitely noticed some Hyper Beam usage out of Dragonite, and you especially pair it with Dragon Dance, which also buffs your Hyper Beam every time you use it. And so Dragon Dance is a super low cooldown repositioning tool, lets you chase people down super hard, and also buffs your Hyper Beam at the same time. That combo is what I see basically all my Dragonites running. Like, I definitely saw a lot of outrage right when Dragonite first dropped, but I think that has fallen out of favor a bit. Specifically for this combo that has a lot of stickiness. You know, like that is to me one of the biggest things that sticks out about Dragonite, and especially why I love Jungle Dragonite, like I was talking about with Kiyeberries a second ago, is that when you have a character that is very, very sticky, that's as in they can just follow you even when you try to run away, when you try to kite them, that is a character that is incredibly good at abusing level advantages. And so, of course, you have a role that gives you the most level advantage, the most experience. And I think that just anytime Dragonite gets ahead, like you'll naturally get ahead on experience a little bit by being in the jungle, but anytime you just get ahead and get even more fed on top of just being a jungler in the first place, your ability to just impose your will and play aggro and be inescapable is just absolutely ridiculous. So that's the combo for sure that I've been seeing.
You're talking about the jungle role getting you ahead?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm saying that you know when people can't run away from you, it's really hard for them to avoid fighting you when you have a level advantage.
Yeah.
And they can't run away from you because you have Dragon Dance, and Dragon Dance also buffs Hyper Beam at the same time, and Jungle gets you ahead, and you can get ahead just obviously by performing well, by getting ahead. So once you get ahead, Dragonite feels insane to me. Just the ability to exert so much pressure is huge.
I don't feel like I'm seeing a get ahead jungle Draco Impact though. Like it still isn't being used as the global character. That's not what's pushing it ahead. It's that early jungle.
Yeah, if anything, Draco Impact, and I believe we actually have a mailbag question about this when I looked down the line earlier. Draco Impact, the fact that it is a global is nice if you just desperately need to get somewhere. I say global. It's got a long range, not necessarily across the entire map. But also, like we were discussing when the character first came out, the fact that you actually turn it around and when you have the shortest range cast possible of Draco Impact, if you just barely hop a little bit of distance, then you only use a very small amount of charge. I want to say 25% of your Unite charge, but that's a trigger a buddy barrier. And so you basically get to spam in every single little skirmish that you have, you get to trigger a buddy barrier for you and an ally. And so this just means that you're insane at roaming around the middle of the map with one other person, maybe more, hunting for kills. You have your ult up basically every single time you're gonna bump into somebody else, and if you meet them in the middle of the jungle, like I said, you're gonna be able to chase them really far with your dragon dances. So, you know, you get a little bit of lead, you start roaming around, you got your goons with you, and you're just able to really put some pressure out.
And let's go ahead and take that question too. This is from Diamond Sword 008. It might just be 008. Sorry to force you into James Bond territory if that's not what you wanted. Diamond Sword is a really good name for a James Bond movie, though. Thoughts on Dragon Knight's Unite move? I personally like the gimmick with the Unite move a lot, but the range might need a slight nerf. The gimmick being how much you extend out is how much Unite meter the move consumes.
Before we get into this, am I the only one that thinks a diamond sword sounds impractical? Like, I get it, in maybe in like the hilt or, you know, maybe on like the guard for decoration, but a sword made of diamond is both prohibitively expensive and doesn't seem like the best material. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Wouldn't it be unbreakable? By
I don't
fantasy means, you know? not like you've got like one of those sand blasters that shoots tiny diamonds and, you know, modern technology kind of thing. I mean, like, you know.
Well, like diamonds are really scratch resistant, but you can crush them not too hard. So yeah, I don't actually think they would make a great sword, because if you smacked it into something hard, it would crush, it would crack.
One Google search, would diamond make a good sword? No, diamonds are hard, but they are extremely brittle. One good blow would destroy the edge of the blade.
What?
There you have it.
But Minecraft.
All right, maybe that's why they break so fast in Minecraft. I'm pretty sure that's a mechanic in Minecraft that diamond swords break quickly. But regardless, now that I've spent a full minute of the show judging your name, let's go into the question itself. the successor to James Bond, asking about Dragonite's Unite move. Honestly, it's these kinds of questions to me are the hardest, where you were asking thoughts on his Unite move. Does it need a slight nerf? To me, it's like, I feel that you can only really tell if something needs a nerf if you either can look at the statistics of the thing, or if it is just like blatantly, insanely overpowered. And right now, we do have access somewhat to some statistics because Unite API just came out, which is, to my understanding, a third-party database where they actually give us the tools to be able to look at the stats of various players and I think the Pokemon. And so that could help inform these kinds of questions about like, oh, is this thing balanced? Well, let's actually look at the numbers, because there have been a million times that MOBA players thought something was like really overpowered and just dominating the meta and needed to be nerfed right now. And then you look and it's like a 47% win rate because it just like feels bad to lose to, but isn't consistent, which is in itself worthy of examining, but not necessarily strictly for balance perspectives. So it's hard to answer strictly just like, oh, does this need a nerf, without being able to view the statistics right now. So I think the other reason, other than statistics, is if the thing is just blatantly overpowered or underpowered or just ridiculously unfun to play against. And I can't say that I've had that experience for Dragonite's Unite move. So at the moment, maybe it's just because I've been out here getting smacked in League of Legends rather than playing Unite. But at the moment, I haven't seen enough to, in my mind, justify the nerf. But it's still absolutely a possibility. In my mind, the problem is a lack of information rather than, finally saying that this is good or this needs a change or what have you. You just need to know more, pretty much.
You mentioned there the Unite API business, which is very exciting. How is this going to work? If people aren't familiar, a API is, well, actually, I don't really know what one is in a sense because I never really experienced one. But I know what databases are when it comes to win rates and such, where people submit their replay data or upload their win statistics off their computer. I know that in mobile games, sometimes in the past, people have made quote unquote APIs out of screenshots, and the computer thing will go screenshot, calculate, like grab all the numbers, and it knows the location of the numbers, and then it uploads that information to a database so people can see win rates on a mobile game. How is Unite API.dev going to API?
So real quick, though, you are familiar with a game that has a good discoverable API because you've played World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, WoW. So think of things like WoW logs, the armory, more recently, all of the thing for keystones, what was it called, where they could track how quickly you did like a timed dungeon and give you a score.
Oh,
that's all done through WoW's API. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really think that the WoW Armory was an API. So that is public information that is usable by websites by entering a code, and then they can parse out that data in whatever graphs and statistics they want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The basics of an API, just to get into this real quick. So, we all know the UI, the user interface, where it's simply put just how the user interfaces with the software. You have the user on one side, the software on the other side. You're working with it. An API, on the other hand, is also an interface. That's what the I stands for, but it is an application programming interface. So user interacts with software, that's a user interface, a UI. If an application interacts with another application, software interacting with software, then you've got the API kicking in there. So if I have my software that's saying, typically intended for a programmer there, and I am looking to pull data from, Blizzard servers, Valve servers, whoever's servers, about their state of the game, about the statistics of what's been happening, then that's what I would do. I would use an API to do it. So it's basically just oftentimes and this is what confuses me, it's oftentimes provided by the company as a tool to draw statistics from the game, and I don't know necessarily if the makers of Pokemon Unite did any sort of thing in providing the way to pull these statistics. I have no idea how this thing works under the hood at all in regards to specifically Unite API. And I've tried to use it a little bit here and there, but it seems to be under heavy stress. You know, they keep talking about, oh, we've got a lot of people using it, so it's not super working right now. They're trying to update their servers. But in general, that is the base structure of how an API works and how it's similar to a term we already know in UI. And I think that if this does work, we might actually be able to get some really good information about the game rather than just sort of feel and hearsay, but it remains to be seen.
Okay, so the general information here in their own list will be about player habits, the player's Pokemon list, the amount of MVPs, the likes, the stats per the game mode, and as 007 Ravis in the chat is bringing up, it's more like a tool that'll allow you to search players as you would inside Pokemon Unite. So this isn't necessarily going to transform into win rate statistics and let us see Lucario 69% win rate, you know, and such sort of things.
So, Raider IO was the WoW add-on I was trying to say, and my brain stopped functioning. Raider IO is the add-on that connects with the WoW API, and they use your performance in Mythic Plus dungeons to give you your score.
Oh.
And that's how people form groups, and you've probably seen the IO score posted all over Twitter where people are like, look at my huge IO score. That functions because of WoW's robust discoverable API.
Oh man, I'm so old. This makes me feel so back in my day. I used an add-on to get eye level that I would post to make people willing to run with me. So now,
and that was back in Wrath of the Lich King, and Bluebird built in actual dungeon score or item level. Excuse me, they built in the actual item level.
Yeah. So now we've gone beyond that. We're tracking.
Now we've
other
gone
data.
beyond that. Yeah. Now we have more. If you've never done a Keystone dungeon, they're kind of like the whatchamacallits from Diablo, where you can increase the difficulty of a dungeon, increase the mobs health and damage output, give them new abilities, and they have changing weekly buffs. And the faster you do those, the higher the score you'll get. And that's uses WoW's API. So depending on how Unite does it, there can be a lot of information there that can be used in a lot of cool ways.
I think as a healer, I never had to prove myself too hard. I was always in demand. So sadly, yeah, that's cool though. I mean, I see the gatekeeping nature of it, but also if you are pugging and doing pickup groups, that sort of information is extremely valuable to know that you're running with someone who's going to spend your time wisely.
From what I understand, going back into the MOBA verse, League of Legends also has a pretty cool discoverable API that people use to make all kinds of stuff. So that might be one to look at and see what people have done with it in League to see how it's been applied in a MOBA versus, what World of Warcraft is.
Yeah, so this is the developer. So developer.riot games allows you to access their API JavaScript for your website and get the direct statistics from the game itself, which is very, very cool, of course, and very open. I never know what intricacies are at work here. So many times it's not only legal issues like we ran into back in 2000, what was that, 18, when the EU passed a law that you couldn't share people's data online in certain regards, and your private even win rates were under this law, and that became an issue. But also sometimes the engine they're using to make their game, they didn't buy the license at the time to share data, and so it's now past the point where they can actually make an API for their game.
I didn't even think about the EU law.
Yeah, there's weird stuff out there that can cause.
I know specifically GDPR has affected you in particular because you are at least one of the co-owners of one of the biggest Heroes of the Storm stats websites, right?
Right, Hotslogs ran into which was basically a legal issue of transferring the data. So it wasn't that you couldn't share out the self-made API we were making out of Here's the Storm data. It was merely that when we changed ownership and we gained access to the website, they couldn't give us that data. You couldn't trade, you couldn't send somebody other people's private data because of the EU law, even though it was video game statistics. So it's a fascinating thing. My brain is just a mess too, because I'm, talking about, web 3.0 and NFTs and stuff. So this is absolutely a rabbit hole, but I find it very interesting as we enter the new sphere of the internet, or the exact sphere we've been in. We've just come up with new names for it. It's all pretty crazy. But so it looks like Pokemon API might be used eventually as they gather up that data, ping all the players, and get those statistics. So what's likely going to happen if they go down that road would be they have to create a program, or even do it themselves, where they ping the top however many players and get their statistics parsed out, because it sounds like they have to do individual player searches to get their data at this time. Even so, like if they went, hey, daily, even weekly, we've taken the top 100 players and parsed out their data so you can see win rates, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because it would be fairly straightforward if you could automate just like looking at the individual players, like I said, or like you said, to look at the leaderboard and just pull everything off the top 100 or 200 or however many it lets you see, and then conglomerate that into statistics of their own. Would that necessarily apply to the experience of Joe Schmo in Great Rank? Not necessarily, but it would give you an idea of what is happening at the top ranks and what is winning there. And some conclusions can be taken from that and applied even outside of those ranks. And it would be worthy information to have and totally doable within the current sphere of possibilities. So I like it, the direction you're talking about here. Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, we've all been through the rodeo of the gamers with statistics, and no, you can't tell win rates. It'll make people do things. But it's also, it's an important aspect of even life to know that you can't juggle chainsaws, so don't try. So when you see the win rates of top end players, you go, how interesting. And then you move on. You don't embody those practices into your own person.
Oh yeah, I mean, just MOBAs are full of people till the end of time discussing like, well, this is good because this has a good win rate, and well, no, actually that's good because this, and then there's stuff that works at the pro scene you can't do at the low ranks. There's like just there's an endless clamor of how to interpret statistics, which statistics matter. I especially know that as a person that also follows the NBA. You get into fights about that daily. So that's something that I think humans just struggle with in general, is the statistics of everything and how to interpret and apply them. And Unite would be no exception to that, for sure.
Not at all. Not at all. Now this. We want to thank everybody supporting us over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. Thank you, everyone, for your support throughout the holiday season. Looking forward to bringing you more Pokemon Unite coverage as we enter this new year. Patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse is the #1 way to support the show, and we appreciate everybody who signed up so far. Check it out and look forward to our goals as posted on that website. Now, there was a tiny patch. This was 7 days ago. Time is a mystery. 8 days ago, right before we would have recorded our podcast, should we had not been on holiday. But this was a small little move around thing. The thing I really, really liked about it was the new and improved scoreboard. The score tally animation now raises in order of the points scored during the match. So rather than, it being all like, hey, check out this mystery, and you already know what's going to happen, this actually moves in the levels that you scored the points in. So if there was that big Zapdos win at the end, or Articuno as it were, it actually shows the enemy team ahead, and then that final moment of tallying pops it up.
As much as I like this system, and I think it makes a lot of sense and is an improvement, you got the 2 visual bars at the end of the game, and you don't immediately know who's winning by which one is going up faster. I like that a lot. I will maintain that the system I've always wanted is both bars for indicating the team's visual score totals at the end of the game. Both bars should just move at the same speed upward, and then whoever scored more points, their bar should just keep moving after the other guy's bar stops. And so then you're really just sitting there like, oh, who won? And it's just maximum suspense, so.
I like how it shows as the scores happen. So you're like, oh, we were winning, we were losing, we were winning. Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of neat to follow the flow of the game in just that 2 seconds.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's, this might even be better. That was my personal idea for the system, but they're both pretty good.
They've also, over time done so many visual upgrades now that when you're actually by a goal, there's a little sports plaque. I don't know when this happened, like 2007 maybe, when all the arenas decided, hey, the walls of the arena, the stadium, those are now TVs, and ads are constantly circling the entire football field. They kind of went through and added that visual to Pokemon Unite in the form of the little walls now show a projection or TV image of the score that might be happening in a distant land. So when I'm trying to desperately dunk on a goal in the final 5 seconds, I'm seeing scores that are being happening back on my goal, and it's making me feel bad. But
oh, no.
It's really cool information to be visually shown.
Yeah, I'm always just sitting there in top lane, just chilling in lane, and then all the TVs light up on the sides of the walls, and it's like, first turn in, and I'm like, how? How did they already turn in on you guys over there on the other side of the map? What are y'all doing? Sometimes it is shockingly quick, but it's definitely just a cool little thing. That's been one of my favorite things about Unite, especially just a breath of fresh air coming from HOTS, is just the pace at which everything gets tuned up. It seems like every week you log in, some UI element is different. That's basically how it has been. Some UI element is different for the better, for the most part here. And you go back and you look at our stream footage from when this game first came out in the Switch version, and it doesn't even look like the same game in a lot of aspects. The base gameplay for the most part looks the same, and even a lot of that is different. It's big difference, and for the better.
The sports look and aspect of the arena was one of the things I really loved about when I first saw Unite kind of coming down the pipeline as a game that I wanted to play.
Yeah, it's got kind of a Rocket League style feel to it. You've got an audience there. You're in a stadium. This is a spectacle.
Well, I remember playing Hearthstone for the first time, and it was like, the crowd does stuff. No, technology's not this far.
It reminds me of the feel of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Had that very arena sports feel. If you've played Sword and Shield, when you go to do the gym leader battles, they are gym leader battles. They are, everybody's got uniforms and you're in these big arenas, and there's crowds, and they have the same thing with the TVs, ads playing and stuff. The final the league champion, his cape with all the esports logos of his sponsors on his freaking cape.
That's awesome.
So that's just that feel of the very sports arena feel was something I guess Pokemon had already leaned into a little bit in the last main series game, and it's cool that's carried over here.
And even go back to Stadium, you can go back over a decade, and you're still gonna find stuff like that.
They also went through for the snowball battle in Shivre City and made the snowman melting animation have a reduced duration, and you are now invincible for 1.5 seconds after thawing, which again it's just been my favorite mode of the game. I have no interest in holiday decorations in a game. Maybe that's a problem with me. Every game wants to give me holiday decorations, let me have hats and boots and stuff, and I'm just like, this is useless. 1 month a year I'll wear this, and even then it's got very strict cuts on it. For 25 days a year I might be interested in this item I'm currently unlocking. But I just love defending. I love tower defense games, and seeing the characters wait by my goal, or jump aggressively or thumbs up my direction, it's just my favorite kind of game mode. So the invincibility has been really fun over there. I'm sad to see it go. I wish I was unlocking things that mattered more than holiday decor.
I have enjoyed the mode after playing it more. It's fun. It's so much better than the pumpkin one. Like, oh my goodness. But when I do my dailies in there, for the illumination or whatever, get the dailies done, I have a good time. It was well done. Props to them for improving the pumpkin mode so much. Pumpkin mode was real bad. I'm still traumatized. I'll never get over it.
Will they return with the same pumpkin mode this next October?
I won't be able to take it. I hope not. I don't know if emotionally I could take that kind of pain.
That's such an interesting question to me, because everything keeps improving. Even this mode, they've made several tweaks to Snowball Battle in Shivre City. When we had an episode 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how they added in all these new items. And then a week later, they add in spawn camp protection, because there was a problem where, the fact that you respawn in the same place you died meant that you could get into a rough spot and then not be able to escape until several KOs, not deaths, KOs later. So the fact that you are now given invincibility upon respawning, which is the same mechanic that's already in the game on conventional respawns, just shows a willingness to continually improve these games. So there's no way they go back to the original Halloween, right? Or maybe there is. I have no idea. I think when we start to see the game hit 1 year old and start to loop into all the same events again, I'm really curious to see if they keep with that same energy and keep iterating on these changes year by year, or if we're going to start to see some repeats. That's interesting to me.
I mean, I think it really speaks to, one thing it definitely speaks to is trust of the developers by the parent companies, which is something that we're starting to discover more and more in video gaming. When a company, or when developers are free to move fluidly and have ideas, it means they're not being held to certain standards by shareholders and all that sort of pressure. Because otherwise you get in this can I update Shivre City? And they're like, listen, that's really not our priority, but I have these really great ideas for these items. You need to calm down, go back to your desk, and be told, we'll tell you what to work on when we figured it out from on high. It is amazing, and perhaps they speak to the financial viability of the game, but I really, really like just how much they're willing to update. And yeah, the Shivre City updates are insane. You could let this rot, maybe a strong word, you could let it freeze outside during this time, and just it's a holiday event. If it's bad, just it'll cycle out. It's fine. It's got what, 10 days left on it, but they continued to give it some love. Could mean we're moving towards, they want to reach perfect Shiver, and they're like, well, we're gonna get this year, and next year it can be the exact same because we fixed it. Who knows?
I'd be fine with them bringing Shivre City back next year. This year? It's already this year. I don't know how time works.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But please, no pumpkins, or just make it Shivre City, but with a pumpkin face. That's fine. You just, instead of turning into a snowman, you just turn into a large pumpkin. I'm okay with that. Just don't bring back the last one. That was bad. Please, never again.
Is there...
The monkey's paw just curled a finger, and now every event is going to be the snowball battle in Shivre City, just mildly reskinned to fit a different holiday.
They've got a St. Patrick's Day one, and you just turn into a big clover,
yeah, exactly.
Big pot of gold. I don't know.
Just one after another. They're like, we're done.
I wouldn't hate it though. It's a fun mode. It's a fun battle brawly mode. It's fine. It can come back. It's okay.
Bring
A
it
big
back.
turkey comes for Thanksgiving, whatever. That's fine.
Exactly. The only thing that changes is the cosmetics. You got it.
I would love, of course, and this is, this is not a unique request made in any game that has a brawl, but PvE content would be really fun to see in these, boss battles, and take it from MOBAs, a lot of MOBA is just don't stand in the thing anymore, which is fine. Otherwise it's a gear check and all sorts of stuff. We don't have that. Item checks. You can't complete this PvP arena if your items aren't high enough level. Your DPS throughput was too low. Who's equipped the wrong items? No. It's more about like maneuverability and dodging the explosions, but that'd be really fun. Ooh, did you ever play Run Kitty Run in Warcraft 3?
I did. That's are you talking about like it's the one where you got a huge spiraling map and you are a cat having to like dodge wolves and stuff?
Yeah. It's
Is that
an
what we're
obstacle
talking about?
course.
Yeah.
Obstacle course.
Yeah. See, I'm not too young. My co-hosts here, they're both in their 50s. They like to rag on me for my age. I'm 24, but I'm old enough to have played that. Yeah, Run Kitty Run, Sheep Tag, Life of a Peasant, Hero Line Wars, Stronghold. I was there.
All right.
But continue. Tell us about this.
No, an obstacle course is basically what it is. Everyone will start at one point. There's a sprawling, in this case, it was a spiral map, but you face more and more challenges. There could be pumpkins rolling at you if you really want just to mess with Kiyeberries. But that sort of stuff is something I would really look forward to.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, do we remember when we had PvE events in Heroes of the Storm, where you would have to fight through massive waves of the Zerg and different bosses, and you could bring any lineup you wanted, and it told you at the end your runtime. It was like, oh, you beat the Zerg run in 5 minutes, 50 seconds or whatever. And there was even an elite mode where everything got a lot harder and you also got your time. And we even had like a team full of pro players that were like dropping world records on it. It was super cool. So even though it was only a one-off, very short-lived aspect of Heroes of the Storm, those PvE challenges that never came back, unfortunately, I think there's already been such a precedent for it, and realistically, that's something that I think would be really, really cool in Unite if we could manage to swing it and just see everybody competing for their world record and best of any percent speed run, whatever times. That could work well in this game too.
That was a fun mode in Heroes of the Storm. There's a Escape from Brax's Holdout. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I want to say that's what it was.
Or
That's fun.
Yeah, because Brax's Outpost
It's
was the brawl one with the pad, I think.
Yeah, it's just called Escape from Braxis. And if you just go ahead and Google like Escape from Braxis, Heroes of the Storm, or even Speedrun or whatever, you'll see what we were talking about, where it was an event where a team of 5 had to play out using their regular MOBA Heroes of the Storm characters. They got to play through an entirely different map. They got to play through bosses that were different heroes of the game, buffed up super hard. It was all using existing mechanics of the game, existing models and abilities and assets and characters, just retooled for a different purpose. And it was a really elegant way to breathe just new life into the game. So I would love to see that here.
One of the fascinating things about that development cycle for that game, as we're kind of the meta MOBAs today, is that they then they balanced the main competitive game, and then they'd have to by hand go over to the fun brawl modes and insert in the balance they had changed, or the mode would have been broken. So they couldn't maintain their brawls anymore because they were also balancing the main game at the same time. So I don't know if this means that Pokemon Unite has a better code that can then is like feeding out to the brawls they make. So when they update the main, this is very like Ready Player One, but the flowing, the glowing orb in the middle of the room, and they go update that and touch that, if all the little spiders and tentacles go out and fix the other modes as well.
Yeah, Hatz's code and engine is old and notoriously bad. So hopefully Unite's is a little more nimble and flexible.
seems to be if we're getting updates to Shivre City. But
That's true.
let's get into some emails here. Ale asks, is it better to do a 5-stack to climb in ranked or do duo or trio? The reason I asked is because I'm not sure if doing a 5-stack makes it more likely to face 5 opponents stacked as a team, which could make it harder.
To be honest,
I gotta read that again.
They're asking if you should play 5 stacks or small parties or even solo.
Okay.
Because they're like, oh, if I 5-stack, do I go against 5 stacks? And honestly, I don't know, because I just play solo queue most of the time. Anybody who watches my stream knows I almost exclusively run solo queue because I just love to sit there and talk to my chat the entire time rather than talking to the other players in my party. It's always been a sort of bad habit for me at times. So this is something I don't have any experience with, but I will say that in the brief times that I have 5-stacked, the brief times that I've done any party size other than 4, which I believe is not allowed in the game,
Nope.
it's gone pretty well. And I have seen players that are at the top ranks playing 5-stacks. I've seen players that are at the top ranks playing solo queue and everything in between. I think at minimum, they're all viable, but I unfortunately don't know which one is the best or exactly how the 5-stack versus 5-stack matchmaking works. I do know very early on, and many matchmaking adjustments have happened since then, but very early on in the game, in the first couple days, I was going against 5-stacks of some of the best players, and I was only in a small group. So those protections may not have existed early on, but they've fiddled with matchmaking so many times that I have no idea now. Do you guys have any idea here in regards to this?
So this is my experience with it. Last season, I played mostly in duo and trio, and this season I've been mostly solo, but I have done 5-stacks both. So this is my take on the whole thing. If you purely want to climb and you're very focused on climbing and winning, I think a duo or a trio is probably best. Because they do have a thing now where if you're 5-stacked, it will prioritize putting you against other 5-stacks. And if you're in a 5-stack, you have to be prepared to try very, very hard because the other team certainly will be. People who 5-stack in this game do it in a more serious manner. They're almost always on comms. They have comps and strategies. Casual 5-stacking is not something I would recommend, because if you just pick 5 people on your friends list, no comms, and try to go, you're going to get rolled every time. So if you commit to 5-stacking, actually commit to 5-stacking. There are community run tournaments for this game, and teams that run in them are 5-stacking constantly. And in my experience, the matchmaking algorithm will prioritize putting you against another 5-stack over putting you against 5 random players who are closer to your rank. You know what I mean? So if there's a 5-stack of very high level players and you're ultra players, you'll probably get them because it wants to put you against other 5s. So be serious if you're going to 5-stack.
Interesting.
But if you duo or trio, I feel that really gives you a better chance to win, because at least one lane is gonna work together really well and you guys are gonna fill roles pretty well. And I think duoing and trioing is how I've had good success. But you can also climb solo queue playing any role just fine, as long as you're a decently competent player, because you can climb with a 45% win rate or something like that. So I wouldn't stress about being able to climb based on how many people you're playing with. But if you're just trying to the easiest way to succeed, I would probably duo or trio.
I didn't know about the 4, no 4 groups at all.
No 4s, because they don't want
groups.
They don't want 4 people to bully on and report spam the one solo person.
That's nice. Huh. That's interesting. I remember this is an anecdote from early 2010s Halo, but they did a study where at the time they didn't have a system where 5v5 or 5v5s would happen. So if you made a 5-stack group, it would just balance based on the game itself and insert MMRs. And they calculated that a 5-stack would run through 21 players an hour, meaning per hour that a 5-stack played, 21 players would quit the game permanently after facing a 5-stack and never return. And so for that particular game mode, they had to make the 5-stack rule. They were losing players constantly.
I see people, especially in other MOBAs, in like Discord or in like in-game chats that are set up like, hey, anybody looking to play? Let's form a group. And they just like form fives. I've also had in Heroes of the Storm quite a bit where if I solo queue and I'm with a bunch of randoms and we do pretty well, everybody invites to group afterwards. And it's like, let's just stay together. We did good. I just do not recommend that in Unite because I've done that in Unite and it's just pure pain every time. You will almost always get a team of very coordinated people who are like practicing for like one of the community tournaments, like they're on Team Shiny or something. Like just if you're gonna 5-stack, go in it knowing that the enemy team is probably going to be very competent and you should be playing very hard. Otherwise, like 2 or 3 is where you'll see more success. In my experience.
Yeah, and I think that's very true, and I think it has a lot to do with the design of the game. There is so much optimizing, particularly when it comes to farming, that needs to be done in coordinated play, that in a traditional MOBA, you walk into lane and you're kind of doing it. You're like, hey, I'm here. Like the thing that's naturally just fun and where you want to be in a lane, fighting towers, whatever have you, pushing, is the right call. But in Pokemon Unite, they will be levels ahead of you without you ever seeing them or really interacting with the enemy side. It is very crushing to face a 5-stack who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and just again, my experience, you like Here's the Storm. If you queue up with people of a couple different ranks, like you've got like 3 platinums, a gold, and then you've got like 1 diamond, the matchmaking there will try to average out your MMR, and your enemy team will be of a similar rank, right? They'll probably be about gold-ish because the average of like a 1 diamond and 1 gold or 1, you know what I mean? It's going to average out your ranks to the best of its ability. This game, I have not seen that. Anytime this season I have tried to 5-stack, regardless of our team's rank, it's another 5-stack, and they're almost always a higher rank, right? They'll all be masters. Like
I think it's the right thing to do. Those teams want practice, and they're gonna need to foster a system that allows them to have the toughest opponents available. And
and I don't know if it's like an anti-smurfing thing too. They haven't commented on it as far as I know. There's no actual hard information, but in other games, it's really common for high rank players who might have trouble finding games or just want to screw around to make Smurf accounts that are a lower level to get easier opponents or get opponents faster. And I don't see that being a thing in this game. If you're 5-stacking, it does not care what your rank is. It's going to give you another 5-stack. So in my experience with it, there would be no advantage to smurfing because queue times are pretty much instant for everybody anyway. And if you're in a 5-stack of Smurfs, you're going to get high-level teammates anyway. So you just might as well use your main account. It's not going to give you easier opponents. And that might be intentional and it might be not. Who knows?
That's fair. I think that's a good answer for Ale. So duo, trio, best way to go about it. Sharky asks, I'm a very casual player, so I don't know much about the game, but what are the best battle items? I see a lot of people using eject button, but I don't really see how that would be useful. And they mainly play Garchomp.
I don't think I could function without eject button. Eject button and buddy barrier at this point, I use them on every single character to the point where they're just like parts of the base game almost in my brain. I really don't think I could play without them anymore. And that might be a bad thing for that's a bad habit, but they are literally like the base game for me. Maybe it'd be different if I was playing a character that had more mobility in their own kit and I could live without eject button. I don't know, but
It's just a general thing that across video games, across competitive video games, mobility is king. The ability to reposition yourself at will is massive. Eject button gives you the potential to escape situations that you would never be able to escape. It also allows you to create opportunities for KOs that would never happen otherwise. You can surprise players. For example, if you are Talonflame flying in the sky, just hovering, you can eject button mid fly and move that suddenly very over and catch somebody off guard that maybe would have been able to dodge it otherwise. It's just a very good item, and if you can't see right now the utility of it, I highly recommend like just putting it on and playing with it. And I think that the value will be self-evident after some time. That's not to say that eject button is mandatory on every character, because it is not. There are plenty of characters that get good value from other items. In particular, I play a lot of Cinderace, and Cinderace is a very good user of full heal, which allows you to shrug off a lot of CC effects, a lot of stuns and whatnot, and survive those. Full heal, for example, it might be full restore, the item that takes off your CC and makes you immune to it for a few seconds. You can also use this, I believe I mentioned this on the show before, you can use it to dive into the enemy flux zone, ignoring the debuff on your move speed, all that kind of stuff. Just really, when it comes to the battle items, just use them is, I think, best case. And for the vast majority of the characters, eject button is going to be amazing, because that ability to dodge, to escape, to hop walls, to play aggressive, including on a character like Garchomp. I know the first week of the game, I was using Garchomp to eject button behind the enemy team and then Dragon Rush them under my goal zones, and that was working phenomenally. So just give it out, just give it a try, and you should see what we're talking about real quick once you start actually getting in there. And you'll start making some big plays with that eject button for sure.
They mention here in their message that they're using X attack so they can basically farm faster, which is kind of a cool idea. I've only been thinking about it in terms of, hitting enemy players.
I mean, I could potentially see it. The thing about a cooldown is essentially whenever you use a cooldown in any kind of game, you're making a bet that you're not going to have a better use for it within the ability's cooldown, right? And so when you have a battle item with a significant CD like X attack, I don't think it's super long, if I had to guess, like 40 seconds off the top of my head, but that is still a significant amount of time to not have it available for fighting other characters where you need any edge you can get, where you're always going to beat a jungle monster for the most part, and if you're not going to beat it, I don't know what's happening. But I could potentially see the situation where in a desperate maneuver, you do X attack to farm a little faster. If you just really need to clear it, however, faster, and then get to where you're going very slightly faster, I could maybe see it. In general, I think you're going to want to save them for using on other characters, though. Unless you've got like Fluffy Tail, which is amazing for securing bosses before the enemy team can even respond, and also can even be used to steal the enemy lane camps in the start of the game. So a lot of different fun battle items to play around with for sure.
Simon Dinosaur has some quick-fire questions. Which Pokemon is most underplayed, and why? We'll pass it around. Let's go Kiyeberries. Which Pokemon is most underplayed and why?
Okay, underplayed, like they're good, but like underrated. People don't know they should play them more. Is that?
I guess
Do you think that's what we're going with?
Yeah,
or is it?
Underplayed suggests that it is worth playing, but people don't play it.
All right, so like I play like 3 Pokemon, so I'm probably the worst to answer any question of this type. Like, what do I know? Nothing, probably. So I'm just gonna say, in my experience with bad drafts, any defender, any tank character, all of them, literally anyone. I see so many drafts that have no tank at all. I maintain my opinion that we had, like, what was it, last season, that defenders are the most impactful role in the game. So just play those more. They're really good. They're really important to have. If I see a draft where one team has at least one defender and the other team has none, I'm usually going to give it, like, I'm going to assume that the team with the defender is going to win, and I'm often right. Like, just play those.
Mochrie.
I like the direction that Kiyeberries took it in, because when I first heard the question, I was thinking, oh, who are the characters that just like don't see play that deserve to see some play? But now that after hearing Kiyeberries' answer, I think it's really sensible to approach it from like who should be seeing a lot of play and doesn't necessarily see the amount of play that should be matching up with that, and definitely defenders. Also Eldegoss, dude. Like maybe it's just because everybody just wants to deal the big flashy damage, but like being a healer for your team is incredibly impactful. And really, you just, in my opinion, you kind of carry team fights as Eldegoss at some crucial moments. You're not going to be able to do it all by yourself, but you're going to be able to have a disproportionate level of impact compared to some other players right there. So I definitely agree. Just tanks and Eldegoss, tanks and healers in general, we should be seeing a lot of those. Also, Lucario. You go and watch competitive gameplay, and Lucario is alive and well. Yet I go into my own ranked games, which admittedly are not super high within the master category, but are a couple hundred over the entrance to master. And I barely see Lucario relative to these games. So, maybe that's just a full sort of adherence to the meta that we should just go whatever's insane OP at the time. But I am generally of the opinion that within the current state of the game, if you're not seeing a lot of Pikachu, if you're not seeing frequent occurrence of tanks, if you're not seeing frequent occurrence of Eldegoss, if you're not seeing a lot of Lucario, I think that people are maybe holding themselves back a bit by picking stuff that isn't going to be as effective for the amount of effort. I think those characters are just super good right now in general.
I agree. I agree with what's said, and in particular, Crustle. I think Crustle is still amazing. And I really, really like having just a solid Crustle contribution to the team. And it's really fallen off with the overpowered thought process that went away with the several nerfs. Or just Greedon, Greedon. But Greedon does his own thing. He brings raw chaos, and I really like that Crustle brings a front line. So I miss you, Crustle. Come on back.
I miss you too, Crustle, because nowadays I just feel like, if I'm going to be playing a tank, I want to be, covering the angles with Blastoise. I want to be covering the angles with Snorlax. I want to be setting up the peel and the pick-off potential with the Slowbro. And Crustle seems to me to have fallen by the wayside a little bit. And that hurts, I miss my bug from the early episodes.
I even randomed the temple skin in one of those little loot box
pods.
Wow,
yeah. Nice. And the energy generator, so cool. Nice. I got the Pilot Talonflame like super early on out of the energy generator, and then just nothing ever since. Just a bunch of socks ever since.
So many socks, yeah.
At least they're not holiday socks.
And they're only worth like a nickel, They just come up and they're like, oh, you already own this sock? Have a single orange fashion ticket. What's that? You have a pile of hundreds of fashion tickets that you could swim through like Scrooge? Have another one. You won't use it, but, just so we have to give you something. It's rage-inducing.
Well, speaking of that, we actually got several questions about what is dubbed the Mochrie problem. Of being saturated on tickets and low on coins, says Taraz. Any thoughts on buying coins with tickets? Do you think that they might be worth?
The issue with buying the coin booster tickets, to my understanding, is that they don't increase the cap on the amount of gold that you can get, the amount of coins that you can get per week.
Oh.
So if you are hitting that cap, then they won't do anything extra for you. But if it would be the difference between you hitting the cap and not, then maybe I could potentially see it. Honestly, never bought one for that reason. So,
but I hope that
lets you. Yeah.
What does the coin boost do? I know that's probably a pretty big question for the particulars on it, but could it?
It increases the amount of gold that you get at the end of matches. So you reach your weekly 2,100 gold cap faster in a smaller amount of games, but you still have the same maximum of 2,100 gold at the end of games in a week. Now, keep in mind that the gold you get from like quests and events and all that doesn't impact that at all. So in reality, you get closer to something like a little over 3,000 gold a week. But you still can't raise that cap in any way.
That'd be cool if it increased your gold game by, let's say, 20%. if it increased the cap by 20% too while you had it active.
Yeah, it would certainly be amazing to have a proportional match, but unfortunately, it's only a tool to lessen the grind, not increase the amount that you can grind.
NX20 says, so I'm running into the issue where I have too many Hollowware tickets and fashion tickets. Any thoughts on a change they could make in the game's exchange tickets to make them feel valuable? At this point, just give me coins. I'm sitting on 36K tickets, I assume, but feels like I'm sitting on 43K, but I feel like this is the most valuable currency at the moment. Wait, are you sitting on that many
sitting
coins?
on 43K for? Yeah,
that's
how do you get all those coins? Share some with the rest of the class.
That's a lot of coins.
Scrooge McDuck over here with his swimming pool of coins. Okay.
But maybe what they're saying, and this may be typo or something along those lines, but what it sounds like they're saying is these have so much value that they are fearful to part with them. I mean, Scrooge McDuck, he bought a house, he bought that vault. Like, at least he's spending some of it. Yes, he swims in quite a bit of it too. But, you know, he's got enterprises, he's going on adventures. That all costs money. So NX2 here, the gold is causing them to hoard.
What are you doing? Like, how are you acquiring things and having that much? Are you just buying things with real money? Are you buying all of your characters with real money? How did you get that many coins and you just have them?
I guess we should focus on.
Have you never bought anything in the entire game and you just play your one starter character forever? Like, I have questions. I need to know.
I just wonder if this is the start of the trend of us just over here fixating on everything about the question except the question itself.
Right.
As, would a diamond sword even work?
I can't get to the question though because I just have so many of my own before I can even process.
We'll focus on the question then. So, any thoughts on change they could make where the in-game currency can be more valuable? So, they're talking about the Hollowware tickets and fashion tickets reaching the level of value perhaps that the gold has.
Currency exchange.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if one currency is worse than the other, if they can all be turned into each other. Currency exchange, give it to us. Let me do something with these orange tickets that can only give me cosmetics for the human character that I never see during gameplay. I could not care less. Let me turn it into some coins, even if it's not a lot of coins, even if it's just a little bit of coins. Let me get some characters. That's what I'm here for. I'm in the same boat as you, NX2. I don't have the same kind of paper as you, but I'm in the same boat as you. Give me those coins.
And why do we have to update our fashion via button? I've never put on an outfit and then been like, but at least my card is different dressed. You know, I want to make sure that when people see me at the end of the match, they're like, oh, damn, he's got two outfits. That one on his card he had at the start of the game looked very different than that one. Well done, guy with two outfits.
Yeah, I wish there was like some kind of way that the outfits and the cards kind of felt like they mattered in any way, even if it was just like a hub. Like, hear me out in this one, okay? We have like our own little sort of in-game clan, group, guild, whatever it's called.
Squad.
Yeah, squad. That's what it is. Yeah, like I would love if you just had like your sort of like squad hub where it shows like some people's stats from your squad. Like, oh, this month in your squad, and then like here shows Kiyeberries, and there's Kiyeberries characters standing there with their favorite Pokemon, and like, you know, like 60 wins and blah blah blah, and like, you know, stuff like that. Like, oh, hit a new rank this season. Kind of in the same way that Pokemon Go, whenever you open your friends list, you get to see like recent stuff your friends have done on Pokemon Go. I think that would be kind of cool as a squad feature. Just like, if you're not going to give us a currency exchange to let us turn the orange tickets into something else that I'm actually going to use, at least let us actually show off our people with their cosmetics and everything. So, you know, give us something.
During the Halloween event, we got like a scary pose. Is that the only way we have unlocked new poses? Is via holiday event, or can you go buy other poses for your card?
I don't think there are that many. I think that's the only new pose that's been added, period. I'm using it. It's cute. But Yeah, more stuff like that. I think the answer is just more stuff, which they'll definitely add over time. But it's definitely possible with the one ticket that you get that you can buy, like I call them the off-brand clothing, the ones that you don't buy like with real life money. They're just there for the one tickets. You can buy them all. Like there's not very many. Nothing gets added to it. There's like 3 pairs of socks, like 2 shirts. Good luck. It just needs more choices.
And poses would be a good
Poses
sync.
would be a good one. Yeah, more stuff for your card. I don't know, stickers, anything, just anything, any stuff that you could just get.
Make our squad a lounge, and you got to spend some tickets to be able to even sit down. But still, you'd be posing. You'd be posing in there, in that group shot. Plus, it's only 30 people, so we could fit everybody on screen.
Make it so you could buy decorations for the room. I don't know, stuff to stick on the wall, buy a fancier couch. I don't know, just more stuff to use that currency on, because a lot of it right now feels like I'm not even motivated to spend what I have, because what am I going to buy?
Pokemon housing.
Which maybe that's intentional to get you to want to buy the $40 cosmetics. They're like, you could have this crappy off-brands, great value cosmetic, or look at this $40 Ninetales skin. Ugh.
Trashing on the great value, man. Not even Kroger or any of the other.
I'm a great value enthusiast. That's me IRL. It's okay.
Yo, Kirkland, where you at? Let's go.
Listen, you can
Where's my
spend-
Costco brand?
Right. Just $1 for spaghetti is the way it should be. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here with the dollar spaghetti. We're not getting this bougie $40 spaghetti. Okay. I'm also in dollar spaghetti camp, but I would like them to add some more dollar spaghettis. More choices.
Well, with the show title named, that'll be the end of the show. Thank you all for
Name
joining.
it Great Value Spaghetti, please.
Consider it done. Great value spaghetti. All right. Thank you all for joining us. If you'd like to know more about the show, you can check out everything over at kyleferguson.com. Of course, check out patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse to support the show. Let's shoot it over to Mochrie. Where can you be found on the internet?
Nowhere. Do not look for me.
Do not perceive him.
Yes. I am Mochrie TV. I just call myself Mochrie. You can find me MOCHRIE TV, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. What about you, Kiyeberries?
Same. I am not to be perceived. Twitch.tv/Kiyeberries, KIYE berries. All the other places on the internet that you would expect to find internet people.
Excellent. I am Kyle Ferguson. I can be found at youtube.com/Kyle Ferguson, where I just posted the first video episode of a show I've been doing for 9 seasons called DMGI. It's DM Gives Inspiration, a learn to play Dungeons and Dragons show for 5th edition as the Dungeon Master. In this particular first video episode, we're going over the best traps in one of my favorite movies, the 1999 The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser.
Oh my God, what a good movie.
Such a great movie. Lots of great traps in that particular movie to use in your Dungeons and Dragons game. I'm a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast as well as Final Fantasy, Heroes of the Storm, Pokemon Unite, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So there's tons going on that I do. Find me over at kyleferguson.com for everything. 2 S's in Ferguson. Thank you all for joining us.
The ball, I didn't ask.
I was ahead of you. Thank you all for joining us in the new year. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, pals.
See you later.